The heart of this story unfolds in the dazzling yet treacherous city of Los Angeles, a place where ambition and glamour often conceal shadows darker than any neon glow. Skyscrapers rise like monuments to human vanity, and every street corner whispers stories of success, betrayal, and survival. Against this backdrop of glitter and illusion, we meet our protagonist, Victoria Vance, an accomplished architect whose life seems perfectly orchestrated. At 38, she has built both her career and her reputation with precision, and to the outside world, she appears to embody the very definition of success. Yet beneath the polished surface of her existence lies a fragile foundation waiting to crack. Victoria's husband, Marcus Thorne, is a renowned criminal defense attorney whose charisma and sharp intellect have earned him admiration from both colleagues and rivals. Together, they seem to form the ultimate power couple, beautiful, respected, wealthy, and enviably united. Their home in Beverly Hills is not merely a residence, but a fortress of modern elegance, designed by Victoria herself, filled with glass walls, open spaces, and the illusion of transparency. Friends describe their marriage as unshakable, a perfect partnership built on mutual trust and deep affection. But appearances, especially in Los Angeles, are as deceptive as stage props under bright lights. The initial atmosphere of their lives is one of calm intimacy, a picture painted in warm tones and subtle gestures of companionship. Victoria narrates her story in the first person, allowing us to enter her private world and experience her reality from within. This voice, so personal and vulnerable, gives the audience the unsettling privilege of witnessing her descent from certainty into doubt. She speaks of mornings filled with quiet routines, evenings spent in comfortable silence, and weekends devoted to small luxuries that reinforce the illusion of stability. Yet, almost imperceptibly, tension begins to rise like a faint hum beneath a symphony. Victoria's vulnerability is central to the unfolding drama. She is not naive in the sense of ignorance, but rather in her unshakable faith in love and loyalty. For 15 years, she has built her world around Marcus, believing in his integrity as firmly as she believes in the structure she designs. To her, every flicker of change in his behavior is explained away as the natural byproduct of his stressful career. His late nights at the office, his distant gaze at dinner, his distracted replies to her questions, none of it seems suspicious at first. She sees stress where others might see deceit. This blind trust does not diminish Victoria, but instead magnifies the depth of her emotional commitment. Her love is not casual. It is profound, a kind of devotion that expects reciprocity. The betrayal, when it comes, is not merely about infidelity, but about the collapse of a faith that had been absolute. The story explores this duality, the tension between what her heart insists is true and what her mind begins to suspect. The pain she endures is not weakness. It becomes the raw material for her eventual transformation. From this pain, strength emerges, reshaping her into someone more formidable than before. Marcus and Victoria's relationship, seemingly unshakable, begins to show its first cracks in subtle ways. Canceled dinner plans, unexplained absences, a growing emotional distance, all these fragments accumulate like shards of glass on the floor. Victoria, at first, blames herself for his aloofness, believing she has failed in some way to keep the warmth alive. Her attempts to reconnect through thoughtful gestures or planned weekends are met with polite dismissal. The audience senses what Victoria struggles to acknowledge. The fortress she believed indestructible is beginning to crumble. The turning point arrives in the form of something seemingly insignificant, a florist receipt. Found in the trash, it is marked with a date that does not coincide with any anniversary, birthday, or special event. It is a small detail, yet it detonates like a quiet explosion in her mind. Why would Marcus buy flowers without a reason? Why hide it? This discovery plants a seed of doubt that grows silently, wrapping itself around her thoughts, suffocating her ability to dismiss the possibility of betrayal. It is not evidence, not yet, but it is the first undeniable crack in her carefully built reality. Victoria recalls Marcus as the anchor of her life, the man she trusted unconditionally, the confidant who knew her fears, dreams, and ambitions. To suspect him is almost unthinkable, a violation of the very narrative she has built for herself. Yet doubt has a way of eroding trust slowly, like water wearing away stone. Marcus, for his part, continues his life with apparent normalcy, his charm and persuasive nature masking the truth. As a defense attorney, deception is his craft, and his ability to twist narratives becomes the most dangerous weapon in their marriage. Marcus is not portrayed as a cartoonish villain, but as a complex, multifaceted figure. At home, he is attentive in just the right doses, careful not to arouse suspicion. In secret, however, he weaves lies with the same precision he uses in courtrooms. His duality, loving husband on one hand, calculating deceiver on the other, becomes the core of the tension. He gaslights Victoria, dismissing her concerns, turning her instincts against her, making her feel irrational for questioning him. His brilliance becomes his darkness, and his charisma is the very mask that hides his betrayal. The other figure in this triangle is Kira, Marcus's lover. She is introduced not as a stereotypical antagonist, but as an enigmatic presence. Kira is younger, ethereal, almost fragile in her appearance, with a deceptive aura of innocence. She does not storm into the narrative as a malicious force, but slips into it like a shadow. Her role is destructive, yet her demeanor suggests complicity rather than instigation. She is both victim and perpetrator, willingly entangled in Marcus's web of deceit. Their relationship is not simply physical. It is woven with secrecy, manipulation, and a dangerous intimacy that threatens to consume them both. The betrayal is not confined to hidden rendezvous. It becomes a corrosive network of lies that extends to every aspect of their lives. The contrast between Victoria's stable, carefully constructed marriage and Marcus's fragile, clandestine affair drives the drama forward. Kira represents temptation and recklessness, a world of fleeting passion built on unstable ground. Marcus thrives in the duality, compartmentalizing his life so perfectly that neither woman fully sees the other, at least not at first. This balancing act, however, cannot last forever. From the florist receipt onward, Victoria begins a silent metamorphosis. She resists the instinct to confront Marcus immediately, knowing that an explosion of anger would grant him the upper hand. Instead, she draws on her professional discipline as an architect. Just as she designs skyscrapers with methodical precision, she begins to design her response to betrayal. Her approach is not fueled by rage, but by logic and patience. She will not allow him to manipulate the truth anymore. She will build a case as airtight as the structures she creates. Her investigation begins with small, careful observations. She notices the times Marcus claims to be working late, the frequency of his phone calls in private rooms, the way he shields his phone screen from view. She monitors his social media presence, cross-checking with his alibis. Each discovery is not just a clue, but a dagger, cutting deeper into her faith. She feels the dual agony of both investigator and betrayed spouse, forced to witness proof of her own heartbreak. And yet, she refuses to falter until the full picture is revealed. Victoria's actions grow increasingly methodical. She gathers digital evidence first. Text messages, call logs, receipts, all meticulously documented and organized. She uses her architect's attention to detail to construct a timeline of Marcus's lies. Then, she moves to the physical realm. Discrete cameras in the house, GPS trackers on his car, strategic surveillance of his movements. Each step pushes her closer to the truth, and each revelation strengthens her resolve. She feels guilt at first for invading his privacy, but the thought quickly fades. After all, Marcus betrayed her first. The moral conflict becomes an undercurrent in her thoughts. Is she lowering herself to his level by spying? Is she losing her integrity by stepping into deception herself? Yet she frames it differently. Marcus built the game, and she is simply learning how to play it better than him. Her investigation is not vengeance for vengeance's sake, it is justice. She will not destroy him in a fit of passion. She will dismantle him carefully, brick by brick, as she would with a flawed structure threatening to collapse. The climax of Victoria's journey arrives at a grand gala hosted by the Bar Association, a glittering event filled with Los Angeles's legal elite. Marcus, unaware of the storm about to break, is set to be honored for his outstanding career. He arrives in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, smiling with confidence, basking in admiration. The ballroom sparkles with chandeliers, the air thick with wealth and pretense. For Marcus, this is a night of triumph. For Victoria, it is the stage she has chosen for his downfall. With meticulous calm, Victoria enacts her plan. She does not scream accusations or confront him privately. Instead, she allows the truth to speak for itself. At the peak of the ceremony, as the audience applauds Marcus, the lights dim and a projection fills the screen behind the stage. Photographs, text messages, receipts, and videos play in brutal sequence, an unmasking too public and undeniable to be ignored. The silence, In the room is suffocating, broken only by gasps as the facade crumbles. Marcus, once master of control, is stripped bare before colleagues, clients, and society itself. His confident smile vanishes, replaced by shock and rage. Kira, caught in the images, is revealed not as an alluring secret, but as a shameful scandal. In that moment, Victoria stands not as a broken wife, but as a woman of dignity and strength, refusing to lower herself to pettiness. Her justice is cold, deliberate, and complete. She does not need words. The truth is enough to dismantle everything he built on lies. The aftermath is immediate and devastating. Marcus's professional empire collapses almost overnight. Clients withdraw their cases, fearing association with scandal. His law firm severs ties with him to salvage its own reputation. Friends distance themselves, unwilling to be linked to disgrace. What took years to build unravels in days. For Marcus, the punishment is not prison but exile. From society, from respect, from the identity he cultivated with such precision. Kira does not escape the fallout. Her name becomes entangled in whispers and headlines. Her carefully crafted image destroyed. Whether she was complicit or naive no longer matters. Her association with Marcus brands her as toxic. She is shunned by the very social circles that once welcomed her. What was once a secret thrill becomes public humiliation, the kind that lingers far longer than any fleeting romance. For Victoria, however, the outcome is not a victory in the traditional sense. She does not revel in Marcus's ruin, nor does she feel vindicated in exposing Kira. Instead, she experiences something far deeper: release. The weight of suspicion, betrayal, and deception finally lifts, leaving behind a clear, quiet strength. She realizes she does not need Marcus to define her life. His fall is not her triumph. It is simply the natural consequence of his choices. In the aftermath, Victoria moves out of their shared home, refusing to live among the ghosts of a false marriage. She rents a sleek apartment overlooking the city, a space that belongs entirely to her. The act of decorating it, of arranging furniture and colors, becomes symbolic of reconstructing herself. Each design choice is an affirmation of independence, a rejection of the identity she sacrificed for years. Through her work, she rediscovers the woman she had buried under loyalty and compromise. The story closes on a note of renewal. Victoria throws herself back into architecture, securing prestigious projects that challenge her creativity and reaffirm her talent. She reconnects with old friends, rekindling relationships that had been neglected in her devotion to Marcus. For the first time in years, she feels whole, defined not by her role as a wife, but by her essence as a woman, an artist, and a survivor. The future stretches before her like an empty canvas, waiting to be filled with colors of her choosing. And in her final reflection, Victoria addresses us directly, her voice calm yet resolute. "Some truths may break us," she says, "but others set us free. Mine allowed me to rebuild, brick by brick, the life I deserved. I am not the woman I was. I am stronger, wiser, unafraid. And you? What would you have done in my place?" With that question lingering, she closes her story not as a victim of betrayal, but as the architect of her own redemption, leaving the audience both shaken and inspired.